What's up, everybody? Nate here from Out of the Basement, joined with Justin.
What's up, guys?
And today we are going to be giving our spoiler-filled thoughts of The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 3. This one is called The Heiress. After Episode 2 got over with, it felt like torture waiting a whole week for this episode, but I think the payoff was there.
Absolutely.
This
absolutely
definitely is already out of the gate one of the best episodes, I think, of The Mandalorian in the series. I don't know if I'd go full. It is 100% the best episode, but it's definitely up there. Like top 3 status.
Right off the bat, I think the reason for me why I wouldn't call this the best episode is because of the cast leaks. Imagine if there was no leaks or even rumors.
Right.
And the reveal happened.
Definitely.
I would have been way more like, holy crap, like, that's a big reveal.
Yeah.
Which, granted, it's still really cool, but I knew it was coming at some point during this season.
Well, right. We had speculated, so I mean, full spoilers. Boca Tan has made her live-action appearance, and she is played by Katie Sackhoff, I believe is her name, from Halloween Resurrection, the hit film Halloween Resurrection. Yeah. She voices Bo-Katan in Clone Wars and Rebels, so it was really awesome that she reprised her role.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't look too far into like the casting because I believe she was like already listed to be in season 2, so people kind of pieced it together. But of course, we heard the rumors swirling that it was, Sabine's going to make an appearance, Ahsoka's going to make an appearance, Bo-Katan's going to make an appearance.
Right.
And so it was still really awesome to see it, though, because just the thought of seeing Bo-Katan live action and when she first shows up, and as soon as I saw the helmet,
yeah.
I was like, no way.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew it was going to happen because it makes sense, especially with Moff Gideon having the Darksaber.
Right.
And the last person we saw beforehand to have it was her. So
yeah, it
makes sense. It makes a lot of sense that she would show up, of course, but
right.
Still, just seeing it and like finally realizing like, wow, this is really happening.
Truly is a shared universe.
Exactly.
It is the Star Wars universe. But first, I want to get this out of the way because we're a little, confused maybe because Mando shows up on the planet that the frog lady and husband led him to.
Right.
Because they said they knew of other Mandalorians there, and it is a water world, but they refer to it by something other than Mon Cala, and then we discover that it's like a half Mon Calamari and half Quarren society. I'm like, that has to be Mon Cala.
Right. There's no way it's not, but like you said when we discussed this off camera, maybe it's because they renamed the planet.
Yeah, because they were at war. Because the planet has been featured in the 2D Cartoon Network Clone Wars, the 3D Clone Wars, which was more like heavily explored in Clone Wars, and it was also in Vader Dark Lord of the Sith.
Right.
So I was totally waiting for them just to say Mon Cala so I can, make that connection, but I'm pretty sure it is, and our theory is, the Quarren and the Mon Calamari made peace, and maybe they were like, if we're gonna share half the planet, why is it named after your race?
Right.
So maybe they just renamed it. Just something, a small little thing that I noticed.
Yeah.
Because I was super excited to see that because it's been in other forms of media as well. So that was cool. And then Frog Lady, Frog Man, reunited.
They speak
They
frog.
got their eggs.
I like how her name is literally Frog Lady, and she speaks frog. Like, that's what the subtitles say.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, so that's just the amount of effort they put into that. She speaks frog.
Whatever. They're reunited. Yeah. They can go live and have their eggs.
I know. It doesn't matter. And then we see Sasha Banks as the shadowy figure lurking in the back. And
who we thought was going to be Sabine.
True, but she is not Sabine. She is a completely new character whose name escapes me at the moment. I can't remember it.
The names might be some obscure reference, but as far as I know, I think they're just 2 Mandos who just so happen to be with Bo-Katan.
Right. And so the Frog Man leads Mando to a Quarren who I believe leads him to another Quarren.
I think he leads him to a Mon Calamari, who then leads him to a Quarren.
Oh, okay.
And then the Quarren takes him and the child on his ship. They say it's like going to be a sail. And of course, the Quarren, as everyone's just out to get Mando for his Beskar armor, it's kind of like a newer thing, at least I think, compared to the first season, that like it's not so much about taking the child or capturing the child. Now it's just like, we need to kill this guy so we can have his Beskar.
Right. Which, I mean...
Which has been happening more like this season.
Yeah, which I feel like it makes sense in the grand scheme of things because
nobody would know who the child is.
Right, and they've not seen his Force abilities, so they call it a pet multiple times. So they think it's just like his pet that he carries around. And so obviously they see the shiny Beskar, they know it's extremely valuable. So I do like that everyone's just kind of out to get him. But of course, as soon as he set foot on that ship, I was like, okay, the Quarrens are gonna, when are they gonna betray him?
Yeah,
especially when he's like, get closer, Mando, like you want to see this.
Yeah, and one thing that friend of the channel Brandon said to me was that, is Mando like a little too gullible in these situations? Do you think?
Well, like in season 1, he seems like so overly protective of the child. And then now he's just kind of like, he's like a little bit willy-nilly.
Yeah.
And
just
just
like taking him into like backwater, like the Gamorrean fight.
Taking him
and
out,
everything.
Taking him out of the pram and just like carrying him around. Yeah, he's kind of being a little bit of a reckless dad. Child endangerment, Mando. Child endangerment.
Yeah. And of course, like, the Quarren kicks the pram and this monster like swallows it, and Mandalorian tries to save him, and they're like trying to like force him down and drown him. And the big reveal, which was super dope, Bo-Katan and then 2 members of her like little clan of Mandalorians save him and kill the Quarren and save the child as well. And then they get into maybe my favorite bit of this episode, where they kind of roast the Mandalorian.
Yeah, because this is something that we've discussed in length, obviously not on camera, and that's the fact that throughout Star Wars, throughout the history of Star Wars, you know, you watch Clone Wars, you watch Rebels, all the Mandalorians pretty much take their helmets off.
Yeah, it was very interesting because there was never that acknowledgement. And I've been waiting for this acknowledgement that the whole helmet removal thing was never a thing. Well, maybe like ancient, as they explain. But yeah, like in the Clone Wars era, original trilogy era, like Sabine's always taken off her helmet. Pre Vizsla they all take off their helmets.
Which I think it's good that they brought it up, because I think a lot of people who maybe aren't watching the animated stuff or are not into Star Wars that much, but they watch the movies, they watch The Mandalorian, got the wrong impression that the only way to be a true Mando was if you kept your helmet on all the time, which is not the case. So it kind of like almost seemed to like when people would see these other characters would be like, oh well, they're not a true Mandalorian.
Yeah. And so this kind of goes back to season 1 in the finale, when he was like, Mandalorian's not a race, it's a creed. In the back of my mind, I was like, he's kind of wrong. Like, it's kind of not what we've learned to know about Mandalore and the Mandalorians. Mandalore is a planet, it has citizens, it has warriors. I always thought, like, okay, you're a Mandalorian if you're a Mandalorian. Just like we're like Earthlings. Yeah. Humans, whatever. So I really do like this acknowledgement that they were kind of, because the Mando says, like, you show your face, you're not a true Mandalorian, and then they just go, oh, he's one of those people. Yeah. Which, like, translates to, like, real life very well, because then they kind of roast him a bit and, like, call him, like, a religious zealot. Yeah. And I think, what is it called? Children of the Watch is, like, this group that, like, went against Mandalorian society. They're kind of, like, outcasted themselves from Mandalorian society, and they're trying to bring these, like, traditional, like, ancient societal rules back. And that's where the whole helmet removal thing comes in. Because, like, the same thing with foundlings. Like, that was never a thing before, at least in Clone Wars or Rebels. So now we know a little bit more of why the Mandalorian's specific covert is like that.
Yeah.
Children of the Watch.
Yeah, which is presumably Deathwatch?
I thought that as well, but then, Pre-Vizsla and his clan, they took off their helmets.
I guess
so
that is true.
I think this specific covert is just kind of random. Like, we just so happen to be following this Mandalorian in this covert that has these rules.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was, thinking about it today, brainstorming, trying to decipher all this in my head. Like, if that was Deathwatch that saved him as a kid, but Deathwatch took off their helmets. So, how did he get into this? And he also said in Season 1, no one has seen my face since I was a small boy.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been doing this since, the Clone Wars era.
Maybe it was another faction of Deathwatch that had splintered off before the big splintering.
Right. Because there's so many different clans, so many factions, so many families in, the Mandalorian, different tribes. So I think, you're right. This is just some random covert, random tribe that adopted this culture and, the whole, creed, warrior's code of not removing your helmet. And I don't know. I just really like that scene when they're kind of get a load of this guy. He's one of them.
Right, yeah.
He's one of those people.
Exactly. And it's just funny to see that they don't even care. They're just, super dismissive of him. And he's just this is the way. And they're like, whatever, dude.
Yeah, because this is the way was also a phrase that we've never heard before from Clone Wars or Rebels.
Yeah. Although, later in the episode, Bo-Katan says it back to him.
True.
So,
true.
Although I think she's just kind of teasing him. Because obviously, it's not that I don't think they think he's a joke, but, they see him as he's just some super serious...
he doesn't understand how wrong he is.
Yeah.
He's kind of just in his
brainwashed.
own world. Yeah. Because Mandalore is so much bigger than what he thinks and, all the different clans and everyone. Which is kind of a reflection of when Cobb Vanth takes off his helmet. And then they all take off their helmets, and he has kind of the same reaction. Where did you get that armor?
Yeah.
But Bo-Katan literally looks like you ripped her from a Clone Wars episode and just dropped her into live action. And I think having the voice actress play the character in live action helps a lot. Because it's the same exact voice, and it gives you the illusion that you're kind of watching Clone Wars or Rebels.
Yeah, and they give her the headband. She's got the short hair. I was like, man, and of course it's great that the actress that voices her also is a live action actress, so that she can sort of do that dual performance. And I'm glad that they decided to go with her. Because so far she's awesome. I mean, it's just literally like watching Bo-Katan. It's like nothing has changed. She's still the same personality, looks fairly similar. So it fits in so well. And so after that point in the episode, they are stealing a Imperial ship.
Well, they're trading information. Bo-Katan knows about the Jedi. So Mando is going to help them infiltrate this ship.
Steal some weapons at first. And then, of course, Bo reveals that they're not only stealing the weapons. They're going to take the whole ship.
Right.
And it's a great hallway shootout scene.
Yeah, great action scene. Great infiltration, fighting with the stormtroopers. But what I really liked is kind of this, passion from the Empire that I don't know if I've necessarily seen when they're literally Empire. What did they say? The Empire, long live the Empire. And he's literally willing to.
Yeah, he pretty much cyanide capsules himself, but it's some electrical thing.
Yeah, and even being willing to crash the ship into the ground.
I like that though, because it's you imagine the Empire, because obviously at the end of Return of the Jedi, it sets it up the Emperor's dead, Darth Vader's dead, the Empire has completely crumbled, they're absolutely obliterated, and then I like now that it's kind of no, that's not really the case, and I feel obviously that's more realistic, because just because your leader dies doesn't mean there's not other people beneath that person that are just as insane.
Yeah.
And I like seeing that, and I like seeing the passion. And Moff Gideon, pretty much being well, you know what you got to do at this point, because we're not sending reinforcements to help you, so pretty much your only option is to crash the ship into the water.
Right.
And
he also teases that there's a fleet. We now know that there's like an Imperial fleet. I'm like, how big is that fleet?
Which is something we were also talking about, because while we have pretty much zero concrete evidence of this, we're thinking maybe Thrawn makes an appearance.
I am highly speculating. There's no merit to any of this.
No,
but if you've seen the climax of Rebels, spoilers for Rebels, you know that Ezra and Thrawn blast off into hyperspace and they're sort of never seen again. But it's such an ambiguous ending, and Dave Filoni has confirmed that they both survived that ordeal, and that's how it ends. So there's a story to be told there. Also at the end of Rebels, Ahsoka and Sabine are looking for Ezra years after Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of overlapping in that territory where Ahsoka would be looking for Ezra with the help of Sabine. And then also Thrawn is also alive out there somewhere after Return of the Jedi. So maybe if there's like this big Imperial fleet, maybe, Moff Gideon might not be he might be the leader in one aspect, but maybe he answers to someone else, or
right. And I mean, I feel like it would make sense
because he's an ISB person.
He is a former ISB officer, and like you said, Thrawn lining up, and Thrawn was pretty devoted to the Empire.
100%.
So I definitely could see him. Even though the Emperor is dead, he's gonna still keep going strong with that mission. And maybe all of these people were part of his fleet, and like Moff Gideon and such. Mm-hmm. So maybe eventually, like seriously, like the last frame of the last episode of season 2, we just see like a little
blue
part of a face, like a red eye and a blue face.
I'm thinking later down, because I don't know how many seasons it'll have. I'm guessing. I mean, probably.
Well, 3. I mean, 3 is already. Yeah. I believe it's about to start filming.
I think that would happen more so down the line, perhaps. Mm-hmm. But and another reason I think that is because of the original like Legends Heir to the Empire trilogy, where it was Thrawn who like gained control of the Empire after Return of the Jedi, and there's been like new Thrawn books coming out by the same author, like modern books. I'm like, they're really like kind of hyping up Thrawn lately.
Well, because they reintroduced Thrawn into canon in Rebels, so that he's now existing between 3 and 4. Mm-hmm. So it's like these books also, I believe, build up from that point. Right. I've only read most of the first book, which is actually what the Thrawn comic book is actually like an abridged version of, and it's sort of like his early life and like his come up through the ranks of the Empire. So, I mean, obviously he can definitely still be alive. He definitely wouldn't be too old. And of course, we don't really know how long the Chiss live for. So really similar to like Cad Bane, like a Duros, you really could say, they live to be 200 years old.
Chewie does.
Yeah, exactly. So Yoda does. So it's like, it's not out of the realm of possibility for any alien character to make a reappearance in The Mandalorian, because you could easily just say, well, they have long lives as long as they aren't killed.
Right. But then Bo-Katan wants her Darksaber back. I was getting a little hype.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Knowing how much she wants it back. Hopefully we see some kind of a flashback of how she lost it in the first place.
Absolutely.
Which, this kind of overlaps with what they talk about, the Great Purge, which that does not mean Order 66, even though that was also a purge. Right. There's purge troopers.
Not that purge.
Not that purge. But sometime during the Empire's reign, there was a war between the Mandalorians and the Empire, where, I mean, all we know is Paz Vizsla's speech. It's all you know about it. Mm-hmm. That the Empire absolutely shattered Mandalore and probably killed off most of the Mandalorians, took all their Beskar, which is why he's upset that he has the Imperial Beskar. So I think we'll see a flashback of that, like the Great Purge, and then also how Bo-Katan lost the Darksaber, I'm assuming, in the Great Purge.
Yeah, because we assumed that she must have just died. Like when season 1 was rolling around and we saw Moff Gideon with the Darksaber, we were like, okay, so he must have killed Bo to acquire the Darksaber. So, I mean, I would have to assume she gets gravely injured. She somehow gets, separated from it where there's enough time for him to grab it from her. You know, maybe she, like, I don't know, like something silly, like falls off a cliff and her jetpack's broken.
Maul steals it back.
We get Ray Park to come back as Saggy Maul, like in Solo, and he just ignites his lightsaber again and then goes away.
But then also, she name drops Ahsoka Tano in this episode.
Yes.
She says, like, you'll find her at this planet with a person named Ahsoka Tano. Don't even mention that you're looking for a Togruta.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So now, much like each episode, Mando's going from planet to planet to find someone. Is it getting, like, kind of like we're going from point A to point B this whole season? Kind of. But that's okay.
Yeah.
I think that's okay. Because it's clear that he's on a quest. He was given a quest by the armorer, Mandalorian. So I think this makes sense.
Yeah. And I do get what you're saying, because it's like, oh, he's going to this planet to look for this person. Literally all 3 episodes have been essentially the same story, like from a skeletal look at it of Mando is looking for someone, doesn't find someone, or does find someone, but then has to go find someone else. And so he just kind of keeps going. And we talked about it a little bit. Definitely think it's going to be a few episodes, maybe like at least 1 or 2 before we actually see Ahsoka.
Or maybe a tease at the end, the very end of the next episode.
Yeah.
Maybe a tease.
Because I hope next episode is a story episode, but of course with this episode being such a banger, I wouldn't be surprised if the next episode was another filler.
Yeah, and I wasn't on the last video for episode 2. It was Bucky. I'm not Bucky. I'm Justin. But delete episode 2 and watch 1 and 3. You kind of, like, what do you miss truly? The Razor Crest needs repairs. What else is new?
Frog Lady.
And Frog Lady. Like, those 2 plot points, that's what we mean kind of by filler, is that you can take that episode out and have the same experience. From 1 to 3, besides the Razor Crest needs repairs, which it's always needing repairs.
Right.
And then Frog Lady. But, you know.
Exactly.
I actually did. I enjoy episode 2 for what it is. It kind of reminds me of like one of the anthological episodes of Clone Wars, where it's just like a one-off. We go into the spooky cave and find spiders and run away and kill them all, and then it's done. But, you know, I don't think I was as harsh as Bucky, for sure, on that episode.
Oh, yeah, but that's because he hates spiders. So,
true.
I mean, and I wasn't the biggest fan of the episode, but I still, you know, like I said, I gave it a 5 out of 10. Just a middle-of-the-road episode. Not bad, not good.
Yeah, but that is it until next episode.
Yeah, that is very true. This was an absolutely fantastic episode. Justin, what would you score this episode out of 10?
I'd give it a 9 out of 10.
I also agree. This is another 9 out of 10 episode. I will say real quick, though, too short. I hate how so far in this season, first episode is the longest, second episode is like 40 minutes. Then this episode was like 35 minutes. I'm like, no. Go the other way. Longer episodes.
That is true, but it also succeeds in giving you a thirst for more, I guess, from one point of view. But when we're dealing with characters that are from the Clone Wars and Rebels, I'm like, nah, we need some more time with them. Yes.
And I assume in the grand scheme of things, once season 2 is completed, I really won't feel that criticism because I can just keep going, you know, and just watch the next episode.
We won't have to wait each week for a new episode.
It's like, that's as of right now, I'm feeling that way, but that's simply because I have to wait now another week to see the next episode.
Absolutely.
And it might potentially be another filler episode, so then we might have to wait another week to get a little bit more
is it
of the story.
8 episodes again?
I'm assuming so. I don't know off the top of my head, though. And there you go. That was our spoiler-filled thoughts of Episode 3 of Mandalorian Season 2. Of course, we would love to know what you guys think of the episode as well in the comments down below. If you enjoyed our review, don't forget to leave a like on this video and subscribe if you are new. Ring that bell so you get all those notifications and you know when we are uploading our next video. Of course, I'm Nate. I've been joined with Justin.
See you guys later.
And we will see you guys next time on Out of the Basement.